I've missed you so much, Wayan said, nuzzling her head against Jungkook's neck. I missed you too, baby, Jungkook smiled. Jungkook gently placed Wayan on the bed. I'm going to go freshen up and change, he said. I'll be back in few minutes, love. Wayan nodded and smiled. Okay, she said. I'll be waiting. Jungkook headed towards the bathroom and Wayan lay back on the bed, playing with her fingers. Cookie? Wayan quickly stood up when she saw Jungkook getting down on his knees. He took a small velvet box out of his sweatpants. He opened the box, revealing a small diamond ring. It is not as expensive as the ring which you gave me, but I got this for you by my first salary. Will you accept it as a wedding ring, my love? Jungkook asked, and Wayan's eyes shimmered, looking at her husband. Wayan quickly nodded her head with a big smile. Jungkook slided the ring on her ring finger. They sat down at the table and started to eat. They talked and laughed, and Wayan felt like she was floating on air. She was so happy and in love. After dinner, Jungkook took Wayan's hand and led her to the living room. He turned on the music and pulled Wayan close for a dance. They danced slowly, lost in each other's eyes. Wayan felt like she was on top of the world. After the dance, Jungkook led Wayan to the sofa and they sat down. Jungkook put his arm around Wayan and pulled her close. Do not open your blindfolds until I tell you, Jungkook said, looking at Wayan and Mrs. John, who had big smiles on their faces while being blindfolded. Jungkook led them out of the house and into the front yard. He had been planning this surprise for weeks and he couldn't wait to see their reactions. He led them to the center of the front yard where he had set up a picnic table with delicious looking meal on it. There were also candles and flowers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now please open your eyes, my beautiful people. Wayan grinned and clapped her hands with excitement as she saw the Hyundai car standing in the porch. Mrs. John's eyes became teary as she saw the car, and she hugged Jungkook tightly. Thank you, son, she said. This is the best gift I could have ever asked for. Jungkook smiled. I'm glad you liked it, Mom, he said. I know how much you have always wanted a car. Mrs. John had always dreamt of owning a car, but she had never been able to afford one. Jungkook had promised her that one day he would buy her a car, and he had finally fulfilled his promise. Wayan was so happy for her. She knew how much this meant to her. She also knew how much she loved Jungkook for fulfilling her wish. Jungkook led his mother to the car and opened the driver's door for her. She got in and smiled. It's beautiful, she said. Thank you so much, Jungkook. It was Sunday and basically a lazy day for the couple. Jungkook was lying on the bed watching something on his phone, and Wayan was lying above him, drawing invisible patterns on Jungkook's torso. They had just finished their breakfast, which Jungkook had made, and they now content to relax and spend their time together. Wayan giggled as she drew a heart on Jungkook's chest. What are you drawing? He asked. A heart, Wayan said, for you. Jungkook smiled. I love it, he said. Wayan continued to draw patterns on Jungkook's torso, and Jungkook closed his eyes and savored the feeling. He loved being so close to Wayan. He felt so safe and loved in her arms. Suddenly, Wayan got up. When she felt her stomach grumbling, she felt like throwing up. Baby, are you okay? Wayan ran towards washroom and Jungkook ran behind her. She threw her entire foot up in the wash basin, panting heavily. She threw up again, resting her hands on her chest, making Jungkook worry more. Shall we go to the doctor? Jungkook asked, rubbing Wayan's back. I shouldn't have eaten your food. It tasted like trash, Wayan said, throwing up again, and Jungkook widened his eyes in disbelief. You said that my food tasted awesome, like 10 minutes before, Jungkook said, defending his cooking skills. Oh, I lied, okay. It tasted like as if I'm eating something weird food combination, Wayan said, panting softly, making Jungkook feel embarrassed. Wayan's hand unknowingly went towards her tummy, and a thought popped up into her mind. She grinned and bit her lower lip. What if I am, she thought, looking at Jungkook with hard eyes and caressing her tummy. Wyan imagined Jungkook coming home from work every day to greet her and their children with a warm hug. She imagined them playing together in the park, going on picnics, and reading stories before bed. Wyan smiled to herself. She couldn't wait to see what the future held for her and Jungkook. She knew that it would be filled with love, laughter, and happiness. Wyan continued to caress her tummy, thinking about the possibility of being pregnant. She knew that it was still early and she wouldn't know for sure for a few more weeks, but she couldn't help but feel excited. She looked at Jungkook again and her heart swelled with love. She knew that Jungkook would be an amazing father. He is kind, caring, and supportive. He was everything that Wyan could ever want in a partner, and a father to their child. You go out, Cookie. I'll come out after a few minutes. Bye, love you. Wyan giggled, pushing Jungkook out of the washroom. My wife is definitely bipolar. Jungkook thought, walking out of the room, leaving a giddy Wyan inside the washroom. Wyan took pregnancy cake out of a cupboard. Wyan giggled, walking out of the restroom. She saw her husband looking at her with concern. She smiled, sitting on Jungkook's lap, and Jungkook kept his hands on Wyan's waist. You threw up your breakfast. You want something to eat? Jungkook asked. Want to eat one burger? No, 2 burgers. Wyan said, showing her 2 fingers, making Jungkook go at her cuteness. Ordered, Jungkook said, showing the order confirmation on his mobile. We love you, Papa. Wyan grinned, bouncing on Jungkook's tummy, making Jungkook laugh. What's wrong with your grammar today, Bedal? It is I, not we. Jungkook laughed, shaking his head. Wyan held Jungkook's hand, keeping it above her fat tummy. It's we, not I. Wyan smiled cutely, making Jungkook confused. Suddenly, a wave of happiness crept in his body when he realized that he's going to become a father. Oh my god, baby, you give me the best gift ever. I love you so much. Jungkook said, pulling Wyan into a loving hug. Wyan started homeschooling during her pregnancy because Jungkook bugged her a lot, saying that going to school will not be safe for Wyan and her baby when she goes into 7th or 8th month of her pregnancy. At first, Wyan did not agree to start homeschooling, but she eventually agreed to it after Jungkook convinced her that it was the best thing for their safety. She didn't want to put herself or their baby at risk, especially in the later months of her pregnancy. Now Wyan was sitting on the high stool of the kitchen with a big pout on her face because her mother-in-law was feeding her organic vegetable salad, which was good for the baby's health, but Wyan wanted to eat pizza right now. Mom, no! Wyan whined, pushing the spoonful of vegetables softly. Just 1 spoon, baby. Say, Mrs. Jones said in a childish voice. Wyan said, and Mrs. Jones fed her the salad, making Wyan sigh. Wyan smiled when she saw Jungkook coming home carrying a flower bouquet. Jungkook went towards his mother, giving her a bear hug. And this is for you, my gorgeous wifey, Jungkook said like a Prince Charming, making Wyan giggle. Thank you so much, my handsome prince, Wyan said, hugging him. You brought flowers for your wife, and you brought nothing for me, Mrs. Jones said, rolling her eyes playfully. Who said I didn't bring flowers for you? Jungkook said, going out of the kitchen, and he brought a cauliflower for his mother. And this is for you, my gorgeous lady, Jungkook said, and Wyan busted out laughing. Miss Jones started hitting Jungkook's back with the same cauliflower which he bought for her. Jungkook ran towards Wyan, who was laughing her lungs out. He carried Wyan in his arms, running inside his room with a box of pizza in his hand. Wyan was 5 months pregnant, and her belly was starting to show. Jungkook loved it. He thought Wyan looked even more beautiful when she's pregnant. One day, Jungkook was sitting on the couch watching TV when Wyan came into the living room. She was wearing a loose-fitting dress that showed off her belly perfectly. Jungkook couldn't help but stare. Wyan looked so cute and pregnant. Jungkook felt tears welling up in his eyes. What's wrong? Wyan was sitting down next to him. You're just so beautiful, Jungkook said, wiping his tears, making Wyan cool. Wyan was lying on the bed, wearing a loose-fitting shirt. Her belly was bulging with her 5-month-old baby, and Jungkook was resting his cheek against it, caressing it every 2 minutes. Wyan giggled. Jungkook, you're being too touchy with my tummy, she said. Jungkook smiled. I can't help it, he said. You both are so beautiful, he said, hugging her tummy tightly. I love you so much, he whispered. Hwayeon smiled and put her hand around Jungkook's neck. I love you too, she said. I'm not boring you with my talks, right? Jungkook asked, caressing Hwayeon's tummy. Jungkook, how many times I should tell you that our baby loves hearing your voice? Hwayeon said, playing with Jungkook's hair. Jungkook continued to caress Hwayeon's tummy, his heart full of love for two people he loved most in the world. I know the baby loves hearing my voice, he said, but I still worry that I am boring you. You're so smart and interesting, and I'm just me. Hwayeon smiled. You're not just you, she said. You're my husband. I love you more than anything in the world. I love hearing you talk about anything and everything. She leaned in and hugged Jungkook softly, and I'm sure the baby loves hearing you talk just as much as I do. I love you so much, my cute little baby, Jungkook said with a big smile. Hwayeon gasped when she felt her baby kicked inside her tummy. Hwayeon quickly get both of her husband's hands on her tummy.